I'm Vita Morales, and I mostly play drums and I sing.
And everybody's exploits seem so much better than my own.
But I've also been writing music for King Lobster Krew for the past 6 to 7 years. The intention of the band, at least when it started, was it gave me the chance to learn what it means to be a good band leader, or to write arrangements, or to call a rehearsal without wasting everybody's time. It was a chance for me to play, because when I was going to music school, I wasn't a strong player. I had to seek out people that were maybe willing to be in my band so that I could learn to do all those things. And eventually, a lot of those guys ended up being very close friends of mine. The sort of goal of the band shifted to like friends making really good music, and whoever was along for the ride was along for the ride. Sort of towards the end of the tenure in music school, we had built a group of people that like were consistently coming to the shows. Now we're almost 30 years old. If this is going to go anywhere, capitalism dictates that it's going to have to be sometime soon, which is not entirely true, I know, but now the considerations, if we're going to keep doing this, how do we make something that makes a little bit of money so that we can actually afford to be doing this and not burning midnight oil to like play shows and then wake up the next day for whatever day job that we happen to have. Get people interested enough to spend their attention, their time, their money on what it is that I do, what it is that we do as King Lobster Krew. I moved to Montreal about 10 years ago from New Brunswick, out on the east coast of Canada. Had a stint of about 3 years when I moved away from Montreal, but I've moved back as of last month. I was a graduate in April of 2020, so probably couldn't have been a worse time to try to look for a job, especially as a musician. Somebody I knew wanted a music teacher at a new high school that they had just built. So I spent about 3 years as a high school teacher at that school and then 1 year abroad. And I came back so that I wouldn't have to teach high school anymore. Now it's led me to making a very silly little movie about my creative process. In many ways, now that we have this grant money, we can kind of like do things the right way, so to speak. The first album, some of it was like finished in like the guitarist's kitchen. And there's a lot to be said for DIY. I think that it can create a lot of cool intangibles that end up being on the final product, but also it like delayed our project by a crazy amount. Like that first album came out in 2021. Some of the things that ended up being the foundation for some of the tracks on there were recorded in 2018. Having the Canada Council grant takes a lot of pressure off of us, which is great because when I moved to Montreal after I had spent some time abroad, I came with no job, and I'm still technically I'm unemployed right now. I'm taking a chance on continuing to make my music without having a job, and it may or may not go anywhere. But I think if anything else, this little documentary, whatever it is that we're doing, is going to be a bit of a time capsule into what I was doing at age 27, where Montreal was at in 2024, what musicians were doing, and the kind of music that was being played at the time.